Speech war triggered. Trudeau's free speech cover smashed. Musk labels Trudeau free speech villain.
To ensure that the companies take actions that are safe.
Free speech to shield India's enemies. Trudeau's free speech hypocrisy blunted. That is our top focus on 5 Live.
Well, it hasn't been a great fortnight for the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And if you've been watching India Today and 5 Live, you know how we've dissected every single step of the international isolation that the Canadian Prime Minister has dragged his country down to. And today, to get on the receiving end of the world's richest man on an issue that Canada prides itself on must be especially painful. And of course, I'm going to dissect it from the Indian perspective. I'm Shiv, this is 5 Live. These are the headlines first. Prime Minister Modi tears into the Gehlot government in Rajasthan, invokes Kanhaiya Lal's murder in Udaipur, calls it an unforgivable sin, rakes up Bhilwara gang rape, claims betis are not safe in pole-bound Rajasthan.
कपड़े सिलाने के बहाने लोग आते हैं और बिना डर बिना खौफ के टेलर का गला काट देते हैं.
For Bengal, showdown escalates. High drama at Trinamool protest in Delhi. Abhishek Banerjee not allowed to hold press conference, alleges conspiracy to stifle his voice. Nitish Kumar government releases Bihar caste survey, triggers political storm. While Nitish hails it as a historic moment, the BJP calls it eyewash. Jagan Reddy's sister, YS Sharmila, all set to join the Congress in a couple of days. Sources say Sharmila has been offered the Khammam Lok Sabha ticket and Congress General Secretary post once held by Renuka Chaudhary. Close shave for Delhi as a big terror module busted in the capital. 3 terrorists planned attacks in North India nabbed. Chemicals for improvised explosive devices recovered. Viewer, in one of the greatest ironies of our time, the richest man in the world has just accused Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of trying to crush free speech. That's right. A country that's been using the shield of free speech to justify the murderous threats, glorification of terrorists, bounties for targeted killings and tributes to assassins, has now received the ignominy of having its free speech credentials dragged through a very, very public gutter. This attack on Trudeau by Elon Musk is in the wake of the Canadian government making it compulsory for all online streaming services that offer podcasts to formally register with the Government of Canada to permit regulatory controls. India has no such rules. India has no such compulsions. The move by Trudeau has been described as draconian and as one of the world's most repressive online censorship schemes. To us in India, this all sounds a little funny, right? Because for the last year or more, you and I, viewer, have watched as Trudeau has been the guardian angel of freedom of expression, a label he has applied to virtually every anti-India action that's been playing out on his soil. From posters practically announcing bounties on the deaths of Indian diplomats, to vandalism and graffiti on Indian temples, to desecration of India's flag, to violent threats outside the Indian embassy buildings, even that disgusting tableau in Brampton glorifying the assassination of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was explained away by Trudeau as something permitted under Canada's wide freedom of expression laws. So imagine the irony that a Canadian government that has infuriated the world's largest democracy with its lame, lopsided free speech yarn is getting whacked in public on this issue that Canada holds so dear and never hesitates to flaunt in order to justify its many problematic law and order decisions, particularly concerning India. In February last year, for the first time in Canada's history, the Canadian government invoked emergency powers to crack down on protesting truckers who were opposing Canada's vaccine mandates. Only a few days later, Trudeau invoked the even more draconian War Measures Act, dispatching troops into Quebec and other provinces. Trudeau has also been first in line several times in the past to call for freedom of speech to be protected. Every time the internet has been suspended during violence or disturbances here in India. Regarded as the darling of the global liberal ecosystem, Trudeau fancies himself as a gyan giver at large on how free speech should be the cornerstone of every democracy. The problem, of course, is never about the principle of free speech, but about the selective applications of law to protect it. Threats of violence and defiance draw hard action, disregarding all free speech tenets, apparently, in Canada, when the perpetrators are from Quebec or truckers, when the perpetrators are from a demographic that drove you to power in the Liberal Party, the Khalistanis. And indeed, for the chair of the Prime Minister, then free speech protects you no matter what the provocation, even calls for violence and murder. To us here in India, the hypocrisy of Trudeau couldn't be speaking any louder, and that is perhaps why there is a visceral sense of irony over how Trudeau is now being called one of the most repressive when it comes to online free speech. Well, this is how the story actually played out, viewer, because Twitter owner Elon Musk, one of the richest people in the world, has slammed the Canadian Prime Minister not vicariously but directly today on social media for what he says is the crushing of free speech in Canada. His remark came in the wake of a recent order of the Canadian government which makes it compulsory for online streaming services to formally register with the Canadian government for regulatory controls. I had a word with people who run streaming services and podcasts, and they say there is no such rule or regulatory requirement or registration requirement in India. So even on this count, Canada is behind India. Musk was responding to a post by a journalist and author, Glenn Greenwald of The Intercept, who commented that Canada had the most repressive online censorship schemes. Notably, this is not the first time that the Trudeau government has been accused of acting against free speech. Like I said, last February, emergency powers were invoked against truckers during the vaccine mandate. Before that, they had also acted against rebels in Quebec. So there are many, many instances of Trudeau being a complete global hypocrite when it comes to the selective application of laws to support free speech. Gaurav Sawant is with me. He's been looking at this story unfolding very, very closely. Gaurav, the incredible irony of the world's richest man attacking Trudeau on the issue of free speech, him being described by independent journalists as having one of the most repressive regimes when it comes to free speech. Here in India, we've been seeing Canada use free speech to justify, genocidal threats, violent actions, murderous calls for killings of Indian diplomats. So therefore, this irony is not something we should be letting go of, Gaurav.
Shiv, Elon Musk has completely exposed Justin Trudeau. You're absolutely right. The fact that Canada encourages the Khalistani elements in the name of free speech, Shiv, nowhere in the world would posters painting a target on the backs of diplomats be passed off as and be permitted as free speech. That's a call to violence. Or terrorists like Gurpatwant Singh Pannu of Sikhs for Justice saying Hindus leave Canada, and then Canada taking no action against people like Gurpatwant Singh Pannu saying this is free speech. It's completely unacceptable. And look at the way Justin Trudeau has cracked down when the shoe was on the other foot. Look at the way he cracked down on the truckers. Look at the way that he's cracked down, as has been very rightly pointed out by you and by journalists in Canada, where emergency war provisions and wartime provisions were invoked to send armed forces into Quebec or to crack down on anyone who opposes Justin Trudeau. As is the case with those who want to have these podcasts, you want a regulatory mechanism on them. It just goes on to show that Justin Trudeau wants to control everything and yet claim to be a messiah of free speech.
Gaurav, thanks very much for that. We're going to try and get some reactions from Canada as well on this story. But really, really an amazing, amazing irony that that the Canadian Prime Minister, who wants to be called a darling of free speech, is being labelled by the richest man in the world, by independent media, by media that is commonly adversarial with their governments, as being one of the most repressive regimes as far as censorship is concerned. I wonder how that feels for someone who prides himself as being a doyen and an angel of free expression. Now I want to share some more thoughts with you, viewer. The reason why the West is so perturbed by India's response to the Nijjar killing allegations is very easy to understand. The West expected a divided, messy response from different quarters in India. They expected that competing interests in India's chaotic democratic system would drown each other out, which is why the West, from governments to the media to experts, have all been stunned by the unexpected unanimity from every quarter of India. Which is why I see the India-Canada flashpoint as a major inflection point, a major milestone and an opportunity for our country, and one that is unfolding clearly as a painful learning experience for the West. This sense of Western dismay over India's decidedly unmessy and unified response to Trudeau's allegations is steeped in part, of course, in racism, Western racism. It's that age-old trope. How can a noisy, bhuka nanga country with all its multifarious problems ever speak in a single coherent voice? The West has also, in my view, been taken aback because anyone who has been an observer of India in the last 2 decades knows that ours is a country where politics frequently trumps Indian interests, especially on the international stage. We've seen it happen in some ways with India's ongoing frictions with Pakistan and China over the decades. And that may have given the West the confidence to assume that an audacious and unsubstantiated allegation against India, like the one that Trudeau has made, would simply trigger more chaos and noise from inside the country. What the West got instead was this famous Indian noise and chaos amalgamating into one supremely proud, unified voice. The beauty of it is there's a common thread running through all these voices that bring it together as one. From the angriest chest thumping on social media to the hyper-nationalist rebuttals in some media to the sober, steeped in history reasoning for India's anger. To voices across India's interwarring political battlefield holding fire against each other for a few amazing seconds just to speak in one voice against Trudeau, the Canadian government and Western hypocrisy at large. The West doesn't like being caught off guard and hates being taken by surprise in strategic matters. India's unified voice on terrorist Nijjar has short-circuited many Western calculations about the leverage such nations feel they can exert on India by taking advantage of internal political animosities. And this is one of the reasons why you'll see most Western commentators, including most recently Fareed Zakaria, conveniently describe India's response as hyper-nationalistic and entirely driven by online trolls. You'll find echoes of that in analysis by a whole range of Western commentators. It's super convenient for these so-called doyens of world affairs to dwell solely on visceral Indian anger on social media rather than how it is representative of something much bigger and infinitely less chaotic than the West would like to think and would like to address. But no, let's just describe India's response as a bunch of angry nationalists injured by the temerity of the West. This is, of course, a hilarious cop-out. Let's not call it anything else, because for every angry troll out there whose feelings are informed by a larger Indian anger about Western hypocrisy, there's also an entire constellation of Indian academics, historians, strategic thinkers and experts, political scientists, journalists and politicians, many of whom you've seen here on India Today, who've used their energies, their agency, putting forward qualified and detailed reasonings for Indian anger and a sense of disbelief at the extent of Western hypocrisy in this very black and white matter. For us in India, there is no chest-thumping moment. A very serious allegation has been cast on this country, and as I've said before on this show, this must necessarily now play out through diplomatic machinery, even though it looks like Trudeau is in backpedaling mode. But far bigger for both spheres, the Western Hemisphere, the Eastern Hemisphere, particularly India, are the learnings from this episode. The West now knows it has lost leverage and grossly overestimated its hold on a messy, chaotic India. And India has learnt that the past does indeed pass. This is no longer an India that is underconfident on the international stage, no longer an India that follows someone else's lead, no longer an India bedeviled by colonial insecurities and diffidence regarding matters of the proverbial high table. If you've ruled the world for most of living memory, imagine how painful it must be to see a country of India's size and potential shaking off its most stubborn old coat. Thank you for listening. The big development from Canada, of course, is a realization of Canada's folly in letting the terrorists responsible for the infamous bombing of Air India Kanishka in 1985 go. The bombing of that flight still remains fresh in India's memory. Amidst the latest ongoing diplomatic tensions between India and Canada, the deadly bomb attack of 1985, 30,000 feet in the air, that killed over 330 people, including 268 Canadian nationals, is back, rightfully so, in the news once again as a reminder of Canada's soft approach to terrorists on its soil. Meanwhile, India Today's Anisha Mathur, one of the few Indian journalists reporting fearlessly from Canada, visited Air India Flight 182 Memorial in Toronto. And she sent us this ground report.
June 23rd, 1985. The ill-fated Air India Boeing 747 Kanishka with 329 passengers on board plunged into the sea off the Irish coast after a mid-air blast in the early hours. A bomb placed in a suitcase had exploded, killing all the passengers. 260 of them were Canadian citizens. Only 131 bodies were recovered from the sea. Fast forward to 2023. Amid rising diplomatic tensions between Ottawa and New Delhi, the deadly bombing is back in the news. India Today visited the Air India Flight 182 Memorial in Toronto. The memorial is visited by hundreds of people every day.
This memorial is also a silent witness to the fact that it was not just one country or one community that is affected by terrorism. People from India, Canada, Japan, 3 countries died. Ireland was traumatized. This particular memorial, the sundial, contains stones from India, Canada, Japan, Ireland, and USA as a memorial, as a tribute to those who died in the bombing in 1985.
Now it tells you on here all the names of the people from it.
These visitors believe that it is important for the next generation to know and learn about these incidents.
New Brunswick.
That we shouldn't forget this tragedy, and in light of the recent news, it's more important that I educate my children to know about our past.
Significant in the sense it remembers the tragedy that these people innocently were involved in.
Okay.
And it was horrific at the time.
Earlier, India Today also spoke to a victim of the bombing who lost his family in the attack.
You know, it was not, the tapes were not erased by mistake or lost. They were wiped clean.
Yes.
The evidence was all there. They test fired the bomb 2 weeks before the actual bomb. So let's understand that this is a state that has looked the other way. And they cannot now point fingers at India 38 years later and say, you know, this happened and this guy is our citizen. Because it was all their citizens who killed our people. My family. I know so many other families. I know so many other victims' families, I mean, who have bonded with me over these years. So that is a shocker for me.
The Canadian courts acquitted all the suspects at different points in time, citing factual errors and credibility issues in the evidence gathered. Even as India-Canada relations hit the rock bottom, victims still await justice by the Canadian authorities. With Anisha Mathur in Canada, Bureau Report, India Today.
And remember, what's happening in Canada has been happening in the United Kingdom for years as well. After India's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom was stopped over the weekend from entering a Gurdwara in Glasgow, Scotland, by Khalistani thugs, the Gurdwara has now strongly condemned the incident and said that people from all backgrounds are welcome amidst this rising Khalistani threat. In the UK, a Sikh restaurant owner was allegedly attacked by Khalistani extremists. In London as well, India Today spoke to the victim. Here's a report.
After death threats to Indian diplomats in Canada, Sikhs living in London are facing heat attacks from Khalistani thugs. Sikhs who oppose Khalistanis and are pro-India are being systematically targeted. This Sikh restaurant owner, whose identity is being protected by India Today, was shot at and his cars were vandalized by a Khalistani mob. The victim and his wife revealed that the windshield of their car was pierced when a bullet was fired. Speaking to India Today, the victims revealed that their daughter is also getting rape threats from Khalistanis.
We are outside, we are coming to attack you.
This Sikh family alleges this is the fourth attack in 8 months, adding that they filed multiple complaints, but the police have not taken any action yet.
अटैक हुए 3 अटैक मेरे पहले हुए जालेवा हमले हुए मेरे पे घर पे हुए व्यापार पे हुए आज तक पुलिस ने किसी को अरेस्ट नहीं किया आई डोंट नो वजह क्या
कहती है पुलिस
वी आर स्टिल इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एंड उन्होंने कोई बड़ा वी डोंट हैव एनफ एविडेंस टू अरेस्ट एनीवन वो वेट कर रहे हैं कि मुझे कोई जान से मार जाए उसके बाद वो अरेस्ट करेंगे दे नो एवरीवन they know their criminal records but they don't want to arrest anyone because I don't know the reasons behind it
हम भारतीय सारे खड़े हैं कि गोली खाने के लिए लेकिन हम चुप नहीं होंगे.
The attack started in May this year after the victim posted a video on social media criticizing the Khalistani hate-mongering against India.
ये जनवरी से शुरू हुआ है मामला और अब क्या अक्टूबर आ गया ये कितने महीने हो गए
9 महीने
10 महीने 9 महीने हो गए हम लड़ भी रहे हैं सफर भी कर रहे हैं लेकिन आप लोग मुझे मार सकते हो लेकिन आप हमारी विल पावर तोड़ नहीं सकते.
Whether it is the Kapoor family or the Indian High Commissioner or an attack that was just about to happen on the Indian High Commissioner Vikram Doraiswamy on his visit to Gurdwara in Glasgow, every time the police has maintained that the investigations are ongoing. One wonders what the police is waiting for and why the perpetrators have not been brought to justice.
Earlier, Indian High Commissioner to UK, Vikram Doraiswamy, was physically stopped from entering a Gurdwara by lumpen Khalistani extremists in Glasgow. Glasgow Gurdwara strongly condemned the incident, hitting out at Khalistanis. The Gurdwara issued an apology, saying it was open to all communities. The incident was condemned both in India and in the United Kingdom.
It sort of highlights and it demonstrates just how concerning the issue of both Khalistan extremists are, but also how the pro-Khalistan sort of activists. And I think that's completely wrong, and they need to be dealt with for what they're doing.
Our High Commissioner should not be deterred. He should continue making the efforts. Bulk of the Sikh community in the UK is law-abiding people. Just a few people who can create trouble should not become a cause for us to get discouraged.
India has raised the issue with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Foreign Office and has sought a proper investigation. With Lavina Tandon in London, Bureau Report, India Today.
And I wanted to show you some data that was recovered as part of a snap poll by C-Voter, one of India's most respected number crunching agencies, to just give you a perspective on how some sample sizes actually view this unfolding story. This is data, and India Today does it best. It was part of Political Stock Exchange with Rahul Kanwal. The entire Nijjar Khalistan showdown has resulted in a big embarrassment for Justin Trudeau. But what is the public opinion on the issue? What do people of India think of this whole diplomatic face-off? Will it help or hurt the BJP since we are in poll mode, etc.? Take a look at this. India Today's C-Voter put up some of these key questions to sample sizes, and here are the results for you to see in numbers. When asked if voters in India believed if Justin Trudeau was supporting Khalistani terrorism, 60% of respondents said yes, only 18% actually said no. Second question, what do people in India think about the safety of Indian diplomats in Canada? Remember, India Today's ground report showed that posters threatening Indian diplomats were still up in that Surrey Gurdwara. 54% of respondents said Indian diplomats are unsafe in Canada. 27% said they didn't think our diplomats were unsafe. Very, very big third question that we're asking, should terrorists be hunted down and eliminated? Remember, India's stand is very clear. India's policy is not extrajudicial killings of any kind, and India has denied any vicarious allegations of involvement and has said it is willing to look at this. But on the principle of such a thing, whether ghar mein ghus ke marna hai, whether terrorists should be hunted down and eliminated, what does the public think? A whopping 83% of respondents surveyed by India Today and C-Voter said an emphatic yes, and only 8% said no. You can maybe dismiss this and say it's an emotional response, but remember, all emotions stem from reality. And people in India are angry at the manner in which Canada has looked the other way and justified all manner of threat and violence under the guise of freedom of speech and local laws. So we will continue to track that story very, very closely. On the other side of this break, I have a related story. It is also about terror, but it's very much here in India. Has a big ISIS terror attack in North India been averted by a handful of key arrests by the NIA and the Delhi police? I'm going to tell you next.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
AI it's your basic assistant.
Meta is unleashing its army of chatbots, more than 2 dozen chatbots, which will make its social media applications like Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram smarter. The company announced Meta AI, a conversational assistant that will deliver real-time information and generate photorealistic images from users' text prompts. For this, Meta has partnered with Microsoft's Bing Search to deliver information off the internet.
Let's check this out. So let's say you're planning dinner. You got Max, the sous chef, who can help you come up with a recipe and help you come up with ideas. So if you want to find a way to sneak some broccoli into your kid's dinner, Max has got you. Let's say you add too much salt to the recipe, he can help you balance it out. All right? Or let's say, you're writing something like a keynote and you're not really sure where to get started. You can ask Lily, or personal editor AI, who can help you brainstorm and share tips, or you can give her a bunch of the text that you've written and she can help you edit it and make it better.
Meta will add AI chatbots that will have celebrities such as Bear Grylls, Chloe Kim and Josh Richards, among others. The company also announced Meta AI Studio, a platform for developers to build custom AI chatbots. These bots will have profiles on Instagram and Facebook, and users will also be able to chat with them in WhatsApp, Messenger and Instagram. The chatbots and the AI Studio have been launched in beta in the United States. Other big announcements included a tool to generate AI stickers and images, which will be available on WhatsApp and Instagram.
also unveiled a new mixed reality headset, Quest 3 and Ray-Ban smart glasses starting at $299, which can live stream directly to followers on Facebook and Instagram. The smart glasses will also have Meta AI built-in, with the ability to give information on the item a user is looking at. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
This is upgraded from the first version.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Hello everyone, this is Anita Brito in conversation with the one and only Shyam Kaushal. Hello sir, कैसे हो आप?
हेलो नमस्कार जी.
आपको सबसे ज्यादा कौन से एक्टर के साथ काम करके मजा है, मुझे ये बताइए. आई नो सबके साथ आया होगा, बट एक तो फेवरेट होगा ही आपका.
मेरा एक मानना होता है, जैसा मैं आज भी ओपनली बोलता हूँ कि पिछले मैं 43 साल में मेरे को कोई बुरा आदमी नहीं मिला. तो मैं कभी सोचता नहीं हूँ कि अगर कुछ कमियाँ होंगी तो मेरे में होंगी. कोई बुरा आदमी नहीं है. कोई भी ऐसा, जब मैं एक्टर्स मेरे जो छोटे हैं जैसा रणबीर सिंह, रणबीर कपूर, अर्जुन कपूर, उन्होंने मेरे साथ शुरू किया, जब भी मिलते पैर छूते हैं, ऐसा बच्चों की तरह. तो आप अगर उनको प्यार देते हो तो आपको सामने से प्यार मिलेगा ही. जब भी आप अपने आप में कुछ ऐसा होल्ड बैक रखते हो फिर वो चीज़ें आती. लेकिन मेरा कभी आज तक ऑनेस्टली मतलब कभी कुछ इशू नहीं हुआ किसी के साथ भी. अमित जी के साथ इतना अच्छा रिलेशन है. बहुत शाहरुख
डॉन टू अभी डॉन 3 आ रही है, मैं उसके
हाँ करेक्ट है. डॉन टू तो नहीं, पर शाहरुख के साथ 2 डॉन बनाई ना कि नहीं?
2 डॉन, एक ही डॉन है ना. डॉन 3 अभी रिलीज हुई है रणवीर के साथ.
हाँ
तो पहली वाली
अमित जी के साथ. हाँ जो डॉन जो 2005 या 6 में शायद. हाँ
ईयर मुझे
तो उसमें वो शॉट था बीच पे ना, गाड़ी चलाना, ब्लास्ट होता है फायर का, गाड़ी पूरी ब्लास्ट में. और फिर ये चलाते निकलते तो फरहान डायरेक्टर थे, उन्होंने मतलब ही सो इंटेलिजेंट एंड टेक्निकली सो परफेक्ट. हाँ उन्होंने बोनट पे कैमरा लगाया, फिर ऐसा कि ना एक ही शॉट में देख रहे हैं शाहरुख ऐसा गाड़ी चलाते आ रहे हैं, ब्लास्ट हुआ, पूरा आग बाग भरी और फिर निकले ऐसे. हाँ
Now, this is a really big terror bust that I want to tell you about, viewer, that may have averted something really big in North India. We're given to understand the Delhi police has arrested one of the National Investigation Agency's most wanted terrorists, someone who's been on a list for a while now. His name is Shahnawaz. He's alleged to have links with an ISIS module, and the police have also arrested 2 of Shahnawaz's associates as part of this terror bust. According to the police, the module was planning to carry out terror attacks in North India. Take a look first at this special report.
The Delhi police cracking down once again on terror. The special cell of the Delhi police on Sunday arrested Shahnawaz, alias Shafi Ujama, a suspected ISIS terrorist wanted by the National Investigation Agency. The police also arrested 2 associates of Shahnawaz. The Delhi police revealed that the terrorists were nabbed from Lucknow and Moradabad, but one of them is still absconding. The police say they've recovered weapons and chemicals from the terrorists' hideout. According to the police, the terrorists allegedly did a recce in Ahmedabad. Investigators claim the terror suspects held training camps across India. The module was allegedly planning to carry out terror attacks in northern India. They were allegedly taking instructions from foreign-based handlers.
इन्होंने बहुत सारी चीज़ें ट्राई करी और ट्राई करने के बाद ये बकायदा रिपोर्ट करते थे कि अगर एक पाइप में फॉर एग्जांपल अगर 2 मीटर या 1 मीटर की खोखली पाइप है और उसमें केमिकल डाला या उसमें टाइमर लगाया, जो भी किया इन्होंने, बहुत सारी चीज़ें इन्होंने करी क्योंकि पिछले कई साल से ये लोग अलग अलग स्टेजेस पे रेडिकलाइज हो रहे हैं या अलग अलग एक्सपेरिमेंट कर रहे हैं। तो उसके बारे में ये बकायदा रिपोर्ट करते थे और फिर आगे से इनको फिर बताया जाता था कि इसकी पोटेंसी बढ़ाने के लिए और इनको क्या करना चाहिए।
3 लाख के इनामी शाहनवाज को गिरफ्तार करने के बाद स्पेशल सेल की टीम ने उससे पूछताछ की और 2 और आतंकियों को गिरफ्तार किया। शाहनवाज के ठिकाने से भारी मात्रा में लिक्विड केमिकल दिल्ली पुलिस स्पेशल सेल की टीम ने बरामद किया है। सूत्रों के मुताबिक इस केमिकल लिक्विड का इस्तेमाल आईईडी बनाने के लिए किया जाने वाला था। पूछताछ में तीनों आरोपियों ने ये बताया है कि नॉर्थ इंडिया में ये बड़े आतंकी हमले की प्लानिंग कर रहे थे।
Shahnawaz, an engineer by profession, recruited by the ISIS, he was on the NIA's most wanted list. The NIA had announced a cash reward of 3 lakh rupees each for information about Shahnawaz and 3 other terror suspects. His name first came up when 2 people were arrested by the Pune police while they were stealing a motorcycle. The third was Shahnawaz, who managed to escape. He then fled to Delhi and had been living in a hideout since then. The arrest of Shahnawaz and his associates could give the police insights into their network in India. With Arvind Ocha in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And our Crime Bureau Chief Arvind Oja, who scooped this story, is with us live. Arvind, इनका क्या प्लान था? ये जो अरेस्ट हुए हैं शाहनवाज और 2 और लोग, पुलिस का बोलना है कि इनका एक साजिश था नॉर्थ इंडिया में कुछ टेरर अटैक्स करने के लिए। क्या साजिश था, क्या जानकारी अब तक मिला है?
देखिए शो, जो अभी तक इनिशियल इन्वेस्टिगेशन है और जो इंट्रोगेशन हुई है तीनों अक्यूज से, उसके मुताबिक इनको नॉर्थ इंडिया के कई पार्ट्स में इनको टेरर स्ट्राइक करना था। ये जो इनिशियल इन्वेस्टिगेशन है उसमें ये जानकारी मिली है। लेकिन इसके अलावा सर्दर्न रेंज इलाके में, वेस्टर्न रेंज इलाके में और गुजरात, अहमदाबाद, इन इलाकों में भी इन लोगों ने रेकी की थी। लेकिन ये जो तीनों अक्यूज्ड हैं, इनका जो प्रोफाइल है वो काफी शॉकिंग है। जो शाहनवाज है, जो एनआईए का वांटेड था, जिस पर 3 लाख का इनाम था, वो विश्व सरैया बेंगलोर में काफी नामी कॉलेज है, इंस्टीट्यूट है, वहां से उसने माइनिंग में इंजीनियरिंग की हुई है। रिजवान वो भी बीटेक है, अरशद वो भी बीटेक है। तो तीनों ही इंजीनियरिंग के स्टूडेंट रहे हैं, लेकिन काफी ज्यादा रेडिकलाइज्ड हैं और बाकायदा ऑनलाइन ये जो अपने फॉरेन बेस्ड हैंडलर है उससे कनेक्ट में आए थे। अब फॉरेन हैंडलर जो है उनके बारे में भी खुलासा हुआ है कि गुजरात के अक्षरधाम में जो आतंकी हमला हुआ था उसमें से एक अक्यूज्ड इंडिया से फरार हो गया था, जो पाकिस्तान में मौजूद है इस वक्त, फरहतुल्लाह गौरी, वो ही हैंडलर बताया जा रहा है। इनकी प्लानिंग यही थी कि नॉर्थ इंडिया में टेरर स्ट्राइक की जाए और इसके लिए बाकायदा इन्होंने सिर्फ आर्म्स ही नहीं, लिक्विड केमिकल भी अपने पास रखा हुआ था, जिसको रिकवर किया है स्पेशल सेल में।
Okay, Arvind, thank you very much for getting us that latest. There will be a part 2 of this expose as well coming up a little later here on Prime Time. Thanks for the moment. We've got some breaking news, some related breaking news coming in now. Okay, India Today apparently has just accessed a very explosive report on terrorism in Pakistan. There's been a big surge in terror incidents in Pakistan in 2023, according to the latest official figures released in that country. The report says terrorism fueled within Pakistan has killed 700 Pakistanis so far in 2023. That's a massive figure. The report says there's been a 19% spike in terrorism-related deaths in the year 2023 only so far. Remember, there are still 3 months left in this, and no one hopes that there will be more deaths of any kind in Pakistan or elsewhere. But until now, 700 deaths in Pakistan, accounting for a 19% spike in terror-related deaths in that country. It's complete chaos. There is civil war in this country, and the terror groups, as you can see, are completely on the loose. Gaurav Sawant, who's accessed this report, is with us. Gaurav, 19% spike. That's huge.
It indeed is, Shiv. This is a report by the Center for Research and Security Studies in Pakistan, and they say from the 1st of January this year till date, there have been 700 Pakistani fatalities in terror strikes. 92% of these, Shiv, have been in the AFPAC region, and this would indicate when Pakistan's then DG ISI traveled to the Serena Hotel in Kabul when the Taliban took over and perhaps thought that they have strategic depth. It just shows how shallow is Pakistan's security thinking, because the same Taliban is backing the TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and most of these deaths are being attributed to terror from across the AFPAC region, whether it's in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or in Balochistan. Shiv, you'd recall over the weekend on Friday, there had been twin terror strikes.
Yes.
One in Balochistan, one in Hangu in KPK. So in Mastung and in Hangu, you had terror strikes. More than 70 people had been massacred in these two terror strikes, again attributed to terrorists from across. Now, something that incidentally, Afghanistan has denied those charges. 386 security forces personnel have been killed, including 137 from the Pakistan Army, 208 from Pakistan Police. And these killings, Shiv, have been on an 8-year high. So Pakistan Army, Pakistan Rangers and Pakistan Police personnel being massacred by perhaps snakes that they had helped rear in the past and hope they target only their neighbors.
And, you know, how is it looking like for the rest of the year, Gaurav? I mean, things clearly not in control. Like you said, those twin attacks that took place yesterday. Even now, the armed forces in Pakistan appear to be sort of running around, not quite knowing how to, you know, settle this issue once and for all.
Shiv, they wouldn't be able to, because now, God forbid, this fire is only likely to spread, because now there's a demand for Pashtunistan, and this is Pakistan Army's worst nightmare. The Afghans do not recognize the Durand Line, so this is about 2,700 odd kilometers of the AFPAC border, and the moment you talk about Pashtunistan, it comes all the way up to Peshawar, and Peshawar would be then the capital of this Pashtunistan, not a part of Pakistan. There is trouble in Balochistan, there is trouble in Gilgit and Baltistan, there is trouble in Sindh. So, and of course there are Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed in Pakistan's Punjab province. So snakes in Pakistan's backyard all across are going to start biting in a bigger way. In case they have elections, it cannot clearly happen now in October. If in case elections are held in January, imagine the political rallies, and those political rallies that will be targeted by Pashtun freedom fighters, by Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, by Baloch Liberation Army, and a number of other groups that are seeking freedom from Pakistan's terror army. So clearly Pakistan in for a lot of trouble in the months ahead.
Huge trouble. 700 dead from terrorism-related deaths and a 19% spike. Definitely not a pretty picture for Pakistan. Gaurav, thanks very much for getting us the big figures on that report. Now on to some domestic politics, because this is, after all, election season that we're headed headlong into. So I did want to share with you, viewer, that Chandrababu Naidu, the former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, his arrest recently is escalating in the political battlefield. The TDP General Secretary and Chandrababu Naidu's son, Nara Lokesh, that's him in those pictures, is, as we speak, leading a hunger strike in Delhi against his father's recent arrest. The TDP has held "I am with Chandrababu Naidu" posters demanding Naidu's release. Naidu, remember, was arrested recently over the Andhra Pradesh skill development scam when he was the Chief Minister back in 2013-2014. While Naidu's son is protesting in Delhi, his wife Nara Bhuvaneshwari has sat on a Satyameva Jayate Diksha hunger strike in Rajamahendravaram city in Andhra Pradesh. So the entire family is on hunger strike, while the patriarch Chandrababu Naidu is on a hunger strike in jail. The hunger strike in Delhi comes a day ahead of the Supreme Court hearing, where the top court will hear a plea challenging a High Court order in dismissing a petition for quashing the FIR against Naidu in the skill development scam, in which he was filed by the CID.
It's been 24 days that Mr. Naidu has been sent to judicial remand on a false case foisted by the current administration. For the last 24 days, they have not been able to show any documents related to quid pro quo or money trail or any cash trail. It's very clear that with an agenda of regime revenge that this government has foisted false cases. We are fighting this out legally.
We trust the court. We definitely think that Chandrababu Naidu will get justice, TDP will get justice. They will come out very clean after the court verdict. We see Mr. Lokesh will definitely go and attend all the CBI, whatever CBI inquiry. He will face the CBI inquiry and come out very clean.
Rahul Gautam is with me. He's been tracking all the political fallout, including here in the national capital. Rahul, Nara Lokesh is in Delhi to try and drum up even bigger support ahead of that Supreme Court hearing tomorrow, trying to keep this story as in the headlines as possible. The entire family on an unshan today.
Well, it seems that TDP is now taking this entire battle to the very doorsteps here in the national capital. In fact, they are saying that, that the Jagan Mohan Reddy's government has unleashed all these agencies against the TDP's top leadership only, for the sake of political vendetta. They are saying that even though for past 24 days Chandrababu Naidu is behind bars, there hasn't been a single document that actually proves any wrongdoings on his part. Now, you rightly pointed out that the entire family, means Chandrababu Naidu's son Nara Lokesh in the national capital, at the same time his wife there in Andhra Pradesh, they are staging these day-long hunger strikes. As we speak, the hunger strike of Mr. Nara Lokesh has ended, and in fact he confirmed to us in that press conference that he's going to appear before the CID on 4th of October, and he said that at the time when Chandrababu Naidu is about to get relief from the court, now Jagan Mohan Reddy wants to send him, Mr. Nara Lokesh, behind bars. So clearly it seems that the TDP leadership is now upping, and it seems that it's going to be a long battle.
Okay, it's going to be a long battle. Supreme Court hearing tomorrow. Very, very important. We'll have to see where that actually goes. Could there be some relief for the Naidu family? Or is it going to be, like Rahul said, the long haul? We'll keep you updated on that. And finally, on 5 Live, after jailer, superstar Rajinikant is now gearing up for his next. And in fact, the makers have revealed some new tantalizing details where it is also said that he is teaming up with music composer Anirush Ravichandar yet again. Here is something that is sending superstar Rajinikant fans into ecstasy. Enjoy. See you at the same time tomorrow.
Rajinikant is unstoppable. With one project after another, he's currently one of the most occupied actors. And now, as he gears up for his next, the makers of his yet-to-be-titled film, Talaiva 170, have announced that filmmaker TJ Nanuel will be directing this highly anticipated project. They have further shared that the grandeur of the film will rise next level in terms of soundtrack, as the hitmaker Anirudh Ravichandar will don the music director's hat. Now, Anirudh's success is not something collaboration with the superstar. As if you jog your memory, he even composed songs for Rajinikant's latest blockbuster Jailer, which turned out to be a commercial success, not only because of the superstar's screen presence, but also for how the soundtrack did justice to the entire plot overall.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Elon Musk's brain chip startup Neuralink says it has received approval to begin recruiting patients for its first human trial. An independent review board has given the green light for the company to seek people with paralysis to test its experimental device in a 6-year study. The study will use a robot to surgically place a brain-computer interface, or BCI, implant in a region of the brain that controls the intention to move. Neuralink says the initial goal is to enable people to control a computer cursor or keyboard using their thoughts alone. Musk has grand ambitions for this medical device company, saying it would facilitate speedy surgical insertions of its chip devices to treat conditions like obesity, autism, depression, and schizophrenia.
The first two applications we're going to aim for in humans are restoring vision. And I think this is notable in that even if someone has never had vision ever, like they were born blind, we believe we can still restore vision. And then the other application being in the motor cortex, where we would initially enable someone who has almost no ability to operate their muscles and enable them to operate their phone faster than someone who has working hands.
In May, the company said it had received clearance from the US Food and Drug Administration for its first in-human clinical trial. Its previous testing in animals is under federal scrutiny for potential animal welfare violations.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
The world of skincare is rapidly changing with new power ingredients making way. For instance, retinol can soon be passé probably thanks to bakuchiol, which does the same job as retinol with minimal side effects. Even Deepika Padukone stabs it. Retinol is not well tolerated by many, causing intense sensitivity to some. Bakuchiol, on the other hand, can be called retinol's gentler cousin, which is natural, less irritating, and a vegan alternative. Deep exfoliating scrubs are now replaced with peeling pads with glycolic and salicylic acid, which is Dermat approved. I tried them and found them even better than the in-clinic peels. FCL, for instance, is specially formulated for the Indian skin.
You know, acid pads don't suit every skin. You have to take advice, professional advice, before you start using them, because some skins just react to them. And if it suits you, I think once in 2 weeks is good enough, not more frequently than that.
Natural is overrated. Everything natural is not good for your skin. Even poison ivy is natural. Does that mean you start applying or having it? No, right? If you are trying to look at natural options, look for products that are of medical grade, that contain only pure, high-quality ingredients that are natural but far more concentrated to help treat and heal with myriad skin concerns. My personal favorite is vitamin C serum and an active serum that treats the skin well.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Co-powered by Blender's Pride Glassware, My Life, My Pride. Volkswagen,